Welcome to the Service Management Show. On this month's show, we're going to be talking about service design. I'm Gary Blower. I'm a ITSM practice lead here at Efficode, and I'm joined by my colleague from Efficode, who I'll leave to introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Laura, and I work as a senior service designer here at Efficode. So, over the years, I have been applied service design in wide range of different kind of projects. So, I have worked in Efficode 2 years now.
Amazing, right. So, we're going to talk about service design, the benefits of service design, some of the challenges we face with service design. But I thought I'd start by asking, can you share your journey in service design? So how did you get started?
Yeah, well, actually, how many years ago? Almost 10 years ago, I started to be interested in customer experience and this kind of a design approach. And then I started to learn what is service design. And this was a new term for me, but it was so interesting. And I started to learn more, and then I went to school and studied service design. So now I have a bachelor's degree in service design, and then I started to use that in my previous work, and then I started to learn more and more. And once you learn the process, you understand how the process go and this kind of a design thinking. After that, I think you cannot think any project or process or development thing without using that kind of a approach or process.
Yes, of course. And most of us in our careers, we fall into things without intending to. What was the thing that, like, when you started doing it, you realized this was something you really enjoy doing?
Because there's people involved.
Right, yeah.
I think companies and especially our customers sometimes, they rush into technical solutions and they forgot the people who is actually doing the work. So I like to be with people. I like to understand how people operate, why they think as they think and what they need. So service design is kind of a cooperative approach when we want to understand the human aspect. So that's why I love service design. Yeah,
and I think that's true for a lot of people in service management. Although it is often IT and technology led, it's very much the people facing part of IT. So you mentioned you've worked with several clients and organizations over the years, developing or doing service design. What's the main benefit to a business in kind of reviewing how they deliver their services and designing their services?
I think the collaboration, understanding the business objectives, because in service design there is like three focus things or three like cornerstones, as you may say. This people, understanding the people and the processes, and then understanding the business and the objectives, and then understanding that what we actually can do with the technical solution. So those are like the three we need to understand. So if you get that understanding when doing the project, I think that's the main benefit. And also when you taking the teams and the stakeholders with the project and take them and cooperate with them and co-create with them, then they will when you actually like release the solution or service management process, or then they will start to use that actually, because there is less resistant of using the new tool. And then because they have been involved in the process in the beginning and they understand that why we do this and how we use it, because usually the roles and the processes are not that clear when starting this kind of a project. They say that, yeah, we do this like this, and then there is this ops team and the different teams and they don't know how they work. So then we dive deep into their like daily basis work and then understand that how they actually use those tools and how the processes should work and how we could make them even better for the company.
And you mentioned a little bit about sort of customer experience and sort of customer value. So how do you determine how successful you've been with the service design in relation to those?
Because there is when I start this kind of a project, I want to always understand that what are the objectives of this? What are the business objectives, and how do we ensure that we make good experience for service agents, for example, or the users who send the tickets, or the stakeholders. So we need to document the objectives we want to achieve, and how do we measure those. So that's one important aspect. And then when we get like this service agent, we want to increase the happiness of those employees, maybe, or then we want to receive maybe less of this kind of support tickets. So this kind of measurements we need to follow and see, are we able to like make the objectives?
Yeah. And I know we're both going to the XLA event in next month, and that's kind of another way of looking at the same thing, isn't it? Another way of measuring it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one interesting aspect. And how can we like make this using this service design approach and these kind of measurements and understanding the customers and how we measure are they happy or not, and combine those kind of approach. I think that's important. And then I think service design helps us to evaluate that what we need to change in our process so that we are able to reach those measurements.
When you've worked with a client or with your previous companies, what have been some of the challenges that you faced in trying to both design the service and then see it through to service transition and adoption?
As I said, the companies tend to rush to the technical solution. So that's why like one main struggle. I always see that, hey, we have developed this and no one uses this. And now the companies is like at why no one uses this, and we planned that, and we wanted this kind of a tool or solution or this kind of a process, but we don't get the results. So that's like one struggle, and usually then service designer comes in and starts to like evaluate that what do you do and co-create with the users. So
do you find sometimes it's a question of taking things out that were put in?
Yeah, sometimes, exactly. And then when they hop into the technical side, I think they sometimes forget that the resistance, and then there might be some like resources or budget. So we don't want to use time in the beginning of the project to this design part, or we don't want to use time to map the stakeholders or the teams, that the agent teams or business units that is going to use this solution. So this is like we rush straight to the technical side and then start to implementing, and then during that time they start to realize that, okay, what actually are the requirements and how do we develop this and what do we want to achieve by this transformation and so on. So,
and you mentioned sort of like collaboration and co-creation quite a lot. So how important is that to the process you follow to do the service design?
It's crucial. It's the main point, that you take the people with creating their requirements and the processes and the solution. So that's the main point. And then you test with the actual users. You can create this kind of a prototypes or just create this test process to Jira or somewhere, and then just do this kind of a iteration with the users.
And I know you've worked with a couple of very large clients. Typically, you know, if you're looking to do a kind of business change around service delivery and service design, what's the sort of timescales that you're looking at for that?
It depends how many like business units do you collaborate with. So I think that's the main thing that defines how long it takes. But usually it might be this kind of a short design sprint, kind of 2 weeks, when we start to have these interview sessions or workshops and co-creation workshops, and then define the requirements. Or then that might be like larger scale project when we start with working with the teams and map the stakeholders and the teams, and then start to workshop with them, and then it might be like a couple of months.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So some months rather than a couple of months rather than like 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, but actually it's very beneficial that service design is with the project when technical implementation starts, because that's also the state of the project when we learn also. So we realize that, okay, this will not work. How do we make it better? And how do we take the people and the users during that time into the process? So that's also beneficial. So I hope that the service design don't just disappear and, hey, this is like the concept and this is the requirements and this is documented processes and bye-bye. So
yeah, leave you to it and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually that might be the case, but yeah, the better results you get if the service design stays.
Yes, hopefully not. Hopefully not. So through the experience you've had, have you had any sort of unusual sort of services you've helped implement, or anything that's sort of slightly out of the ordinary that you could share?
Like this kind of one project which was really difficult for me. It was this kind of a large project where many business units were involved, and then I hopped in the middle of the project. So it was also already like went through maybe 1 year, and at the time the first releases should have done like during month. And then I hopped into the project, and then we realized that, okay, we are definitely not ready to release at all. And all the requirements, they haven't been documented at all, and they haven't discussed with the business units as much as they should have been. And then they were like, hey, they haven't listened to us, and we said that we need this kind of functionalities in there, and there is this legislation and requirements they need to follow, so we cannot make the implementation or the release before we get this like legislation based functionalities running. So that was very, very difficult to hop in the middle of the project. So then we started to work with the business units and gather the requirements, and then reflect that which was already done and which needs to still be developed, and so on. So then we started to have this kind of a release plan step by step, and which needs to be like released individually for the business units, this kind of solutions, and which needs to like 2 business units needs to release same time, and so on. So that was really, really difficult.
And is there a happy end to that story? Was it successful in the end?
Yeah, actually we released just 2 functionalities, and then they had in the middle of this bigger kind of a business transformation. So that ended the project. But if we got service design like more early stage, I think we would have been quicker to release, and then they would have time to test those and actually get things working.
Okay, so that's if thinking of like key lessons from some of these experiences. The earlier you're able to engage, the better, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I have been discussing with some customers that they have, for example, they have been implementing Jira Service Management, and then they changed the tool, and then they just implemented that, and after the implementation and release, and then the team started to work on it, and then they said that, okay, we should have used service design, and we should have created these new processes around this system, and so on. So when I talk to the customers, they are always like saying that, oh, we should have done that.
Yeah, of course, it's easy to have hindsight after the facts, but okay. So within Ethico, this is a service we provide. Where can people find out more information about what you do and what you get up to? Is it LinkedIn? Is that the best place?
Yeah, LinkedIn. You can contact me on LinkedIn, Laura Kemppi. And then I have wrote a blog post about this subject. Can we like add the link somewhere so that people
Yes,
can
in the show notes.
yeah, right. And then also you can contact me for more information.
Yeah, perfect. And obviously, the blog post is on the eficodes.com website. Yeah. Perfect. Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Laura. So we'll wrap things up there. So as usual, if you've enjoyed this content and this episode of the Service Management Show, then do share this video podcast with your friends and colleagues. If you want to leave us comments, you can do so in the comments on the YouTube video or on LinkedIn. And we do read all the comments and respond, so please do. Otherwise, if you can like and subscribe the video to help us get it out to more people, that would also be great. So all leaves me to release to thank my guest this month, who was Laura.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
And we'll be back after the summer break with another episode of the Service Management Show. So I hope you'll join us for that as well.